Hi, this is Amy Gibbs, and Connie Robbins Brady and I will be presenting a video for you to supplement the Matisse unit so that you'll have something that you can refer back to. It's sort of a mini lesson. This is mostly about the project. So I'm going to start out with our Heritage Matisse. So what is going to be in your box? What's going to be in your box? On your handout, in your handout for Matisse on page 12, you will always have in your handout a little box that shows you what it is that's going to be supplied to you in your supply box. So for Matisse, you will have colored construction paper and some construction paper scraps. Now this means that you'll have plenty of paper for each student to have a 9 by 12 piece of paper for their background, and then scraps to cut out, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. The glue that you'll have, which is mentioned here, is going to be in a glue box, and I'll mention that. If for those of you who have not used our glue boxes, I'll talk about that in just one moment. Okay, so for the paper, you have some paper in a few colors that is 9 by 12. That's this size. It's half the size that the paper comes in. Construction paper comes in 12 by 18, so this is cut in half. I would recommend you use a 9 by 12 piece for the background. It makes it easier for students. They don't have to fill up quite as much paper. So you'll have some of this, and you'll have some loose pieces of the 12 by 18 as well, in various colors. That's for you to use as you'd like, to either cut up or use as background. Okay, what's next? Okay. Oh, also in your box as a supply, you will have some scrap paper. This is already cut up paper, and it has wonderful different colors and shapes because students last year were able to save some of the scraps that they used. So there are all kinds of wonderful already cut out shapes that can be used. Your students can start with a shape that's already cut out and cut some more out, or just use it as it is. So that's another thing. And then the glue boxes. So back to what you're going to do. Sample of the project. What we have two different samples, basically. Can you see these? This is the simpler project. This sample is a letter.
Got a little bit of a light problem here.
Okay.
There we go.
Can
Oh, that's
that?
better. That's great.
Okay, that's much better. These are laminated, so they're a little bit shiny, and the lamination is kind of something you can do that makes it last a little bit longer and the color stays better. So this one is actually a letter that's probably the first letter of this person's name, and then some shapes. Now these are organic shapes because they kind of look like they could be something living. This could be seaweed, or it could be grass, or this could be coral, or it could be some kind of butterfly. This could be a cloud, or it could be something floating in the ocean. It's sort of up to the student what they want to do, but it doesn't have to be something specific, just an organic shape. This is the simpler version of the project. This is a slightly more difficult, maybe for the older kids. 4th and 5th graders should be able to deal with this. Cutting out the letters of their name, their whole name, or just their initials, or whatever word you want to decide you want to have. So that's basically an example. Okay, what's next? Already good sample. Glue boxes. A cool way to glue on. Okay, so we didn't come up with, we stole this idea from somebody several years ago that came up with this wonderful idea of using a sponge, some glue, and some water to make a little box. This is kind of like when you used to make, when stamps used to be lick 'em, stick 'em, and you'd make a little wet sponge, and then you'd stick the stamp on, and it would get sticky on the back. But this has actually the glue in the sponge. So what you want to do, this is a used one, and you can see it has some color from the paper that it was used last year. So you add some more glue. You can be right on top of the sponge. It's just a couple of blobs of glue and some water.
You do have to be pretty careful with how much water, because if it gets too wet, It may stick, but
we
it's going to be
just-
too slimy.
Yeah, I think we decided about as much water as glue, didn't we, last year?
I think we went a little less, but
little less water than
it
glue.
might be everybody kind of
You
tries
can kind of
what
experiment and
works.
figure it out. I'm just kind of messing with it here. You can let it sit like this. In about 20 minutes, that will have soaked all the way into the sponge. The sponge was already just a little bit damp, so I didn't put a lot of water into it. I'm going to close it up so it doesn't dry. So you can prepare these ahead of time for your students to use. I'm going to get back to that in just a minute. Next thing we're going to talk about, scissor skills. Yay.
I'm going to sit down here so I can get a close-up view of what you're doing.
Okay, so, that's one thing I forgot is scissors. Okay, how about...
You want to run and grab scissors?
I'll run and grab scissors.
You run and grab scissors, and
Why
I'll
don't you
tell them
read
this.
that?
Hi, guys. It's Connie here. One of the things to understand about cutting with scissors, we found this little part online. When cutting paper into shapes, it's easier to cut into circles and curves by opening and closing the scissors partially and using the inner part of the blade length as the main cutter. So, the best way to remember it is you don't want to be like a shark, opening the mouth wide and going chomp, chomp, chomp. You want to be like a little fish and go nibble, nibble, nibble. By not using the entire length of the scissor blades to cut, you have far greater control of the cut and you can make nice, smooth curves. Oh,
Okay.
I can't really stop if you can let us finish this. Thank you. Sorry, folks.
We are just popular people. Okay, so with scissor skills, I'm going to demonstrate what Connie just talked about. Here is a letter that I have drawn on this piece of paper to cut out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out, make it just a little bit less extraneous paper, and then I'm going to use little nibbles and turn the paper, little nibbles, turn the paper, not the scissors, little nibbles, and it doesn't matter if you hit the lines perfectly. Okay, and then if you want to get the middle out of that, like an A does, fold it, just pinch it just a little bit, cut the little hole, and start out. These are bigger scissors than most of your kids will be using, so just use a little bit, nibbles.
That part's so hard in those tiny areas, isn't it?
Especially with those blunt scissors that the little kids use. So ask.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What would happen if you were just to glue something over that area?
You could do
Would
that.
it still look
absolutely.
like a cutout?
Or just color it in.
Okay.
Okay, so there's my A. Now I am going to go back a little bit to this. Well, let's not do the glue boxes quite yet. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to do is to show you a little bit about the easier project as opposed to the more difficult project. With the easier project, you don't even have to have them do the letter of their name if you don't want to, but here's what we do with, let me go back to this, lettering. Okay, if you don't know how to do bubble lettering or block lettering, what you want to have the kids do is you have them draw the letter of their that they're using. It could be the first letter of their name, it could be any letter, just in single lines like that, and then you give it padding. And give it a little bubble suit all the way around the outside, and that's the line you're going to cut. Okay, then if you want to, if you're using pencil, you can erase the line, or if you're not using pencil, you can use this as a template to trace onto a colored piece of paper, so you'll have a letter. This is bubble lettering. Block lettering is very similar. Okay, so I lost track of all my different things that I need to do.
And Amy, while you put that together, I will tell our volunteer who is out looking for her box where her box is. And so, do they have names on them?
Yes, they do.
Okay.
They have names.
And anytime you come over to Art Heritage to get your box, the coordinator will usually be the one who's there to get it, but there'll be the designee, and there will be labels on each of the boxes that are written on the bags, and will tell you which school you are. Which school are you from?
Chatfield.
So Chatfield is right there. So I'll let you get that. And you may need a dolly to help haul it out because the glue is kind of heavy.
I will give it a try.
Okay.
See if I can do
Thank you.
You
All right,
didn't know
so
you were
we're
being
coming
camera.
back. We didn't mean to make this little segue, but
This
we
is a
also
little
couldn't
adventure.
leave somebody